Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome to our next session of Olive Storytime. We have a lot planned for today, and it's going to be a very exciting session. So we're all very happy, and thank you so much for joining. So today, our Oliver, his name is Talib Hirji, which is actually my grandfather. Hanifa, would you like to read the bio?
Sure. And then in the meantime, if you guys are able to, I suggest you turn on your camera.
Yes.
And then for our volunteers too, if you are able to. All right, I'll read the bio now. So Talib Hirji was born in India during World War II and has learned many vital life lessons. And he probably has 3 children, 7 grandchildren, and 2 great-grandchildren. An engineer by profession, he has worked in mechanical engineer consulting, and he graduated from Karachi and worked for a Pakistani firm called Zealand and an Iranian firm called Semka Consulting Engineers and an American firm called TMAD Engineers. Talib is an avid world traveler who has been to 20 plus countries, including Iran, Pakistan, Tanzania, and France. As a teenager, he loved to color photographs, but he recently acquired a touch for sketching and drawing and digital art. He enjoys any good food, especially Indian sweets, and he currently lives in Orange County with his son, daughter-in-law, and 3 grandchildren. And we're so happy to have him here today.
So thank you so much for coming. So I've prepared a few questions for Uncle Talib, and I'm going to ask him. There's about 5 to 6, and then afterwards we can have a Q&A where you guys will be able to ask him questions as well. So make sure to put those in the chat if any do pop up in your head while the interview is going on, and then we can answer those afterwards. So thank you for coming, Uncle Talib. My first question for you is, what is one of your life's most significant moments, and how did it change you?
Well, I have to go back in my memory, first of all. And I think the time was 1965. When the war broke out between India and Pakistan. And we were basically in a lockdown state, not to have at night lights exposed outside. We had to put curtains and all that stuff to protect ourselves. And at that time, I thought, I'm going to die. So why not get engaged? So that was my significant moment of getting engaged in a wartime. From a bachelor to being engaged.
Was there any other factors that kind of played into that? Because there was the war, so were there any risks that you knew could happen? And how did you deal with it?
As I said, I thought I may die.
Yeah. All right, and then so how have you applied your Islamic and personal morals and values to your past experiences?
My life has been up and down. It's been like a struggle all the way up to today's time. And most importantly, I just remember Allah and pray for His help. And most importantly, I ask for His patience and strength to be able to succeed in my endeavors.
Was there any time like during the war, because you were born during World War II, so was there any time during then that you kind of harnessed those values? Well,
the World War II started in 1945, and that is the time I was born. So I don't remember any events happening at that time, but only I knew I was crying. And I cried till 1945.
Oh, wow. Okay.
When my sister was born, she stopped the war.
Indeed. I like to think that way. Very nice. All right. So you mentioned that the war between India and Pakistan was going on when you got engaged. So what were your thoughts and feelings during that time? Was there anything that you were really scared about besides dying, obviously? But was there anything that was like very pertinent in your mind that you needed to kind of be solved?
No, nothing especially like that. The only thing is because of the war, we were restricted not to go out much. In the evening, to be in the house itself.
Mhm.
And besides that, we didn't have any fear, you know,
How come?
because Pakistan is strong. And we,
I agree. So, you'd actually told me a story a while ago about you said you had you lived in a several story apartment on the top floor, and you mentioned that it got bombed, right?
yes, that was in the World War II time between 40 and 45. I would say it was around close to 45. And in Bombay port, there were warships stationed,
Mm-hmm.
and they had all the ammunitions. And one of the ships was carrying also gold. And for some reason, the ship exploded, and all the ammunition, gold, everything flew over the Bombay area. And one of the big pieces fell on our roof. We were staying on the 5th floor, which is top floor, and the roof fell on our bed. It was luckily not nighttime, it was midday. But that scared us, everybody. And we had to vacate that apartment and go to stay with our relatives.
Did you find a place that was close by there, or did you move after that?
We moved after that, I don't know for how long it took us, but then we moved back when the roof was fixed.
Mm-hmm. Was there any like fear into moving back there, because that would be very traumatizing? So were you
Sure,
scared
you know,
about going back?
sure, again, you know, the thought comes, you know, if it would have been night, what would have happened?
Mm-hmm.
So fear remained for a certain period of time and just disappeared.
Okay. And this was in India?
This is in Bombay, India,
Okay.
1905.
Okay. Interesting. So you would say the world events that have been basically the biggest in your life is World War II and then the war between India and Pakistan, correct?
That is, war between India and Pakistan was not a world impact event. It was just between two countries, but still had an impact on me.
Mm-hmm. Is there any like recent world events that have
Recent
had
world event is the pandemics.
Mm-hmm.
Again, before the pandemic started, I was already retired. So I don't had much activities except for going out. Especially in the afternoon, I used to go out to Starbucks, have a coffee, and go through computer, reading magazines and news, and play with my Photoshop. And with the new lockdowns, I was prevented from doing that. So I was confined to home. There was not much of a social context.
Okay. How have you changed that? So pandemic has been going on for about a year and a half now. So what has changed since the beginning?
I would say nothing has changed.
Mm-hmm.
Even the lockdown has lowered, you know, level, but still for me, it's the same. I'm still not going to the coffee shop.
But you've been able to go out a little bit more, right? Like for dinner or
No, after I stopped, that was in early 20s, 2020s. Since then, I've not gone to the coffee shop at all.
Mm-hmm. Do you miss that?
No, definitely I miss that because
Mm-hmm.
it was my pastime in the afternoon.
Mm. And just so all of you know, his favorite Starbucks drink is the dragon fruit refresher. So yeah, just keep that in
So you
mind.
remember it, I forgot about it.
All right, I'll ask you the next question. What would you say is the most important trait to have, trait or quality?
Well, that's a really tricky question. I, first of all, do not understand the real meaning of trait.
Mm-hmm.
You define the trait.
Like a person, like a quality or something that a person should possess character-wise, a characteristic or attribute.
Okay, if by character, I'm an honest person,
Mm-hmm.
that helps me in every event. So if it doesn't help me in every event, then it's not the most important. The important, I feel, is the Islamic principles. And again, Islamic principles go beyond Namaz, Quran, and be honest, not backbiting, not be jealous, be honest with in your dealings, and so on and so forth. So that in together, you have to keep in your mind every time you do something.
So, for example, how would you use, like, what would you say is the best use of honesty?
Well, whenever you are meeting somebody, be honest. When you're dealing with anything, be honest, not to try to cheat or tell lie.
Mm-hmm. So, last year, the main theme of all of Storytime was being resilient. So, is there any instances in your life where you have harnessed resilience, or if you've bounced back from a hardship? And can you explain what that hardship was?
Each hardship helped me to come near to the God.
Mm-hmm.
And the hardship was basically from joblessness, being in another country, financial problems, and so on and forth. So in every respect, whatever the hardship I had, I overcome them, and I had more faith in Allah.
Mm-hmm. How were you able to do that? Like, there must have been some roadblock in your head that was thinking that you wouldn't be able to get through that time, and you did. But
No,
what was your thought process?
never a negative thought came into my mind.
Really?
It wouldn't happen. It is to struggle, and it will take time.
Mm-hmm.
It took time, and I struggled, and I overcome it.
What is like one of the greatest struggles?
Oh, there are many, I don't know. One time in 1972, I was in Canada, was trying to take immigration over there, and I was not succeeding there. And I had no job. And my family was back in Pakistan, and I was alone in Canada. And finances, I was really tight. And the only thing which it came to a point where I prayed to God if I can get a job anywhere in the world. And He'd open up back for me in Iran. The same job I was doing, left, and I had to go back to the same job. And they accepted me.
Really?
Yes.
Do you think that was a blessing?
Definitely, it was a blessing.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. So, how about some of the countries you've been to? You mentioned that you've hopped around the world to different places. So, what are some of the countries that had the most impact on you?
Countries, well, most of the countries I traveled for fun as a tourist, but from India, we migrated to Pakistan. That was based on my father's change of service. From Pakistan to Iran, I migrated because of job opportunities. And then from Iran, I came to USA for more secure life, because there was a revolution in Iran in 1979, and I was displaced. I went to Dubai for 4 months, worked over there, but didn't like the place. And luckily in Iran, I had a friend, American friend with me, and he helped me to get American visa.
Mm-hmm. So, like you said, you've been to Iran and Pakistan and India. What are some of the other places outside that sphere that you've been to?
Okay, if I go around the world from that point, from Iran, I went to the Gulf, Kuwait, Oman, Saudi Arabia, Syria, Lebanon, then to Tanzania, Kenya, and then to Europe, Greece, Italy, France, Germany, Holland, England, and then coming to America, testing to Canada, and going back to Japan, Hong Kong, Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, Bangladesh.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of them. I think that's at least 20. That's a lot. I think
That real traveling really helped me for one thing. Human beings are same anywhere in the world. There are good people and bad people. We just tell them people from this place are not good or bad, or good, but they are the same. The human mind works in the same way.
Interesting. So you've seen all these cultures and you've noticed that we're basically the same. We all have the same blood. We function the same. So interesting.
That's right. That's right.
Oh. All right. I'm going to move on to the next question. What is one piece of advice that you would share with the younger generation?
I would say, since we are all Muslims, we need to understand Quran. And Quran is not just to recite in Arabic, but is to understand fully. There have been Muslims who have read Quran, read the translation and the commentary, and yet they have moved away from that. And there are people in the world who are non-Muslim, read the Quran, and they said, Quran is a book of knowledge, but we have made it a book of dua. And that is true. When something happens, they recite Surah Rahman, recite Surah what and what, but we don't understand what is in the Quran. So I think the new generation, the present generation, and you all people, sooner you start to read translation, the better it would be. The translation is a very complex thing. In the first reading, you may understand very little, but each time you go over it, you will understand more and more in depth of it. And you will be surprised how it awakens you.
Well, so going off of that, you've been mentioning how the Quran is really important to understand. What would you say is your favorite ayah or surah?
Okay. In the Quran himself, Allah says, glorify him in the early hours of daylight and in the late hours of sunset. And on that basis, I found in Surah 59, Surah Al-Hashr, ayat 22 to 24, which glorifies him. And I love those ayat. And if you people know the 99 names of Allah, there are about 10 or 15 names in that 3 ayats. And somebody has told me, if you recite it daily, there will be 70,000 angels making dua for you. So this is a free service, so I took it.
Do you think it's helped you?
It's making me more stronger in faith.
So I guess it does work then.
Oh, yeah, it does. I mean, there's in Quran, whatever is there, it does work. The only thing is you need to have faith. There will be disappointments, but you don't lose faith. Because God is, as God has said, this is a life of test. And we'll be encountering number of tests through our lives. But we need to not give up. Have faith in Allah.
Definitely. I agree. Very nice. So you had mentioned that, so this is about the 99 names of Allah, correct? When did you start reading that every day?
I would say this has been a very recent time. I don't know exact time, but as I said, somebody told me that if you recite it every day, 70,000 angels will be making dua for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I started.
Okay. So it's been helping you recently. All right.
Yes, right. And again, there are a number of surahs in Quran which are real helpful, but I find 2-3 surahs that which I recite first thing in the morning before I get out of the bed. Surah Ikhlas, Surah Nas, and Surah Falak. If you people read Surah Nas and Surah Falak's translation, you will understand what is in there. Those are very short surahs, 6-7 ayats, but look at the meaning of those. It will really help you to understand it. Because God himself is saying, recite this, because it helps you to protect you.
Do you recite it in the morning or in the night?
in the morning. I normally do in the morning before I get out of bed.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So when we were talking before, you'd mentioned that one of the greatest one of the most significant moments in your life is when your wife was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. So what were you thinking when that happened?
Okay, this was the year 1999 when the doctor told me that she's heading into Alzheimer. And it was a shock. But at that time, I did not really have a concept of Alzheimer. The concept at that time I had, oh yes, she loses a little bit memory. But I said, okay, something will happen. By year 2000, doctor told me she has got Alzheimer and you cannot leave her alone. The reason we've not been living alone is because she may react at any moment and walk out of the house. That was a very fearful thing to happen. So that's why I gave up my job, retired from the job, and was full-time caretaker for her. Alzheimer is a memory problem, yes, but it is not just losing your memories. It affects all functions of the body. So slowly, she would act very differently. She will try to pretend that she has no problem. And again, they say there are 3 things you should not do with an Alzheimer patients. Never argue with them, never provoke them, and never test their memories. Because these things will, make them furious.
What do you mean by testing their memory?
Oh, when friends come to other place and my wife would not remember, and they would try to say, oh, we met in Iran, we met this, you do this. And she would get upset. And she would just get up from the chair and start walking.
So what would you do when that happened?
You had to be calm. You can't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that was an event in which I had to go into learning the process of how to handle Alzheimer patient. Because the way you speak, the way you act is completely different from any other patient who's suffering from any other disease.
Mm-hmm. Did that in any way affect your routine?
Yes, it did. Because initially, after retiring from my job, I started doing stock trading in the morning. And she would get up early also. And she would come to me. And that is the time of most important when you're doing stock trading. And I was not able to concentrate on my trading. So I had to give up that.
Mm-hmm.
And by being at home for 24 hours, I needed to get out of the house. Because they say, normally people who are taking care of the Alzheimer patient, they die first before the Alzheimer patient. With stress on them. So I needed to get out of the house for a few hours to at least refresh myself. But to get out, I needed some people at home to take care of her. I had to hire a number of caretakers, and my wife would not accept them. I even got a lady from East Africa speaking Swahili language, which was the language she used to speak in Africa. And she didn't like that either, because they encountered at the revelation in Africa. So they said, well, these people are not good. Really challenging time for me.
Yeah. Was there any special way that you dealt with that? Like, was it a Quran or prayers?
Well, yes, I used to recite du'as and just ask for God's help and make me patient and give me strength. Because I came to know there is no cure for this disease.
Mm-hmm.
The thing you can do is take care as comfortably the person feels.
Mm-hmm.
And then she reached a point after 5 years that she would not recognize me. And it became difficult to take care of her. So I was looking for a facility to move her there. And one facility I found in Fullerton, they say that they will come at home and evaluate her. When they came at home and the valley children said, we cannot take her in because she needs 2 person to handle her. And we can't do that. So for 1 year, I struggled to find a suitable place for her because I wanted to be in a place where she's comfortable. There were facilities ranging in price from 3,000 to 6,000. Ultimately, I found a place in Costa Mesa, which was 6,000 a month. And I liked that place. And that day, they told me there's only one place I can bed. And then I called my children to come over to that place, see the place, and decide. So that night, we decided we're going to move her to that place. So she stayed in that place for 7 years.
Was that decision really hard, moving her to?
Yes, it was really hard because once she was moving to that facility, I knew in my mind that she's not coming back.
So it must have had a very big impact on you.
Definitely.
Yeah. All right, I see some questions in the chat, so we can move on to the Q&A portion of the session. So I'm seeing a few questions. I like this one. What pastimes have you developed over the pandemic? Are there any hobbies or skills that you've kind of picked up?
Yes, I started doing pencil sketching, and then I wanted to do painting, like watercolor or acrylic. But then I thought I don't have a real estate to sit down and mess around the place. So I better move to computer. And that's when I decided to do digital painting. So I'm learning that and doing some projects.
Have you enjoyed that so far?
Yes, I really enjoy it. It's a challenging because to learn on yourself is really difficult because there's no step-by-step instructions.
Yeah.
Videos on YouTube, there are few people who can give you step-by instructions. And again, they use different programs than I use. I use Photoshop, they use Procreate. Sometimes you need to understand what they're doing in Procreate and translate in your program.
What are like some of your favorite things to draw?
Mostly I like landscaping. Most of the people on the internet I saw are doing character-based, but I don't like characters.
I see another question. Who was your biggest role model when you were growing up?
Frankly, I didn't look to anybody as my role model. I always had a thought in my mind that how did Prophet Muhammad was so much successful? And I realized that that was his character. The character has so much impact on the people that they would trust him blindfoldly. And that's what I thought I should be going towards, to building a better character. And I'm striving for that.
Okay. Very nice. I have another question by Hanifa. Which country do you want to travel to the most?
Well, at one time when I was in Iran, I liked Holland. I wished at that time I could retire in Holland. But again, today, the Holland has changed from what it was. So I would love to go again back to Holland to see what changes has taken place. But I find other thing is a Far East place, like Malaysia and Indonesia. They are good places, there are a lot of natural beauty, and they are more economical vacation spots.
So you'd say those two would be your favorite?
Yes.
Okay, very cool. How about this one? What was the biggest lesson or takeaway from your experience in caring for someone with Alzheimer's? What was the biggest thing you learned?
It's the patience. Again, to have strength. Be calm. Don't get frustrated. Because frustration is the worst thing you can do to yourself and to the patient.
Yeah. So you really had to practice patience during that.
That's right.
Has that affected you now? Like, are you more patient? Because of
Definitely, I'm more patient now, especially with you.
that? Wow, thank you. All right, I have another question right here. I think this is one of the last ones. What is something you are passionate about
Like what? Eating?
besides eating?
I don't recall anything like that.
Okay.
I mean,
Anything like family or a
yes,
hobby?
I mean, I used to enjoy family gatherings. Some time back, some years back, I had my cousin in India, my sister in India, and I used to travel every 2 years to meet them and enjoy the time.
Mhm.
After they passed away, the only place the people left in there is my nieces. And they are good people also, but again, I miss my cousin and my sister.
Yeah, of course. Well, thank you so much for answering
Nice.
all of these questions.
You're most welcome.
I think we're going to move on to our activity. We're calling it Fly Around the World. So basically, we're going to have a few slides of pictures of different countries without the name. And then you guys will have to try to guess what the country is using context clues, using names of the cities or surrounding countries. And then we'll make it like a little game. So let me share my screen. 1 second. See if I can get that up.
And Amira, I can help calm people
Okay, perfect.
while you're
That would be awesome. Okay, can you see my screen? Okay, perfect. Let me present it. All right. Name the country. So yeah, so use the shapes, countries, labeled cities to help identify which one it is. All right, this is our first one. Does anyone have any guesses?
Ibrahim.
Pakistan.
The next exit is 67.
Perfect. Nice job. Okay, I think that was an easy one. Let's go to this one.
Is it Iran?
Very nice. You guys are really good at this. Wow. We should have made this a bit more harder. I have one really hard one coming up, so prepare for that. How about this one?
India. India.
There you go. Okay, India. Very nice. Okay, and this one. How about Uncle Talib? What do you think this one is?
United States and Canada.
Exactly. With the one in color.
Canada.
Yes, perfect. And you said you stayed in Canada for a little bit. So which place on the map did you stay?
Toronto.
Toronto. Very cool. Was it just Toronto or did you go anywhere else?
No, just Toronto.
Very nice. Was there anything that you thought was really cool over there that you'd like to share?
No, I was just struggling to find a job.
Okay, so I'm sure it didn't seem very nice to you back then.
I just went to see the Niagara Falls.
What'd you think of that?
It's beautiful. I mean, I see the Niagara Falls from both sides, from United States side and Canada. But Canada side is much more beautiful.
Oh, really? Have you been to the US side as well?
Yes, I've been to that.
Very cool. All right, this is our next one.
I think it says on the side.
Oh my God, I forgot to take that off. Wow, very nice.
Well, Thailand. Thailand.
Probably not
Probably.
Thailand.
Not Thailand, yes, I agree. There you go. Oh, I don't know, it's not going. There we go, Thailand. Okay, I should have been careful about that. How about this one? Okay, this one's the tricky one. I made
Iraq.
it. Oh,
Saudi Arabia.
wow.
Saudi Arabia.
It's actually Iraq. Very nice job.
Mhm.
What gave it away?
I just recognized it. I recognize I just recognize the shape and like it says Gerbil on there too, so I recognize that.
Very good job, Sadik. Nice. Right, here is our next one.
New Zealand.
New Zealand.
Very
There's New
good.
Zealand again.
I don't think it says it on the side.
Oh, I see it.
It does say it on the side.
This is our next one.
Japan. It
Japan.
says it.
Japan.
Okay, these maps are really hard to get without the names on it. Like, I looked at so many pictures and they were not there. Okay, Japan. Very cool. Okay, how about the one on the side? What's this
China.
one?
I think.
China.
Korea, North Korea, and South Korea.
Mhm. This one. What is this?
I think.
Who said that?
Ibrahim.
Nice job. France. Did
France.
Paris give it away?
I
It
didn't
also
even
says
see
about
that.
France.com.
Are you serious? Oh, crap. Wow. Oh, okay, that's great. France. All right. How about this?
Gambia.
What'd you say? Can you repeat that?
Okay. Is it Kenya?
No.
Tanzania.
Yes, there you go. How did you figure that out? Was it one of the city names or
Dar es
something else?
Salaam. Dar es Salaam.
Dar es Salaam, yes. And then Zanzibar is right here.
Yes.
Very good. And then Kilimanjaro is here too. Tanzania. All right, how about this?
The UK.
Okay, very nice. Right, let's do the next one. This.
Abu Dhabi.
UAE.
UAE.
Yay! Nice. Did you get that from Dubai and Abu Dhabi?
Yep.
Mhm. I think that is our last one. All right. Very nice job. You guys did amazing. I'm going to stop sharing my screen super quickly. Okay. Very nice. That was really good. I got that really quickly, especially the ones with the names on it, which was my bad. Okay, so we have a really quick reflection.
You have proceeded your crossing over into next rally. Rally down.
So I'm going to ask you guys just one question. What did you guys learn from today's session? Whether it was about countries or one of Uncle Talib's stories, what was something you learned?
I learned about patience and how sometimes you just have to wait, and you have to be patient for something, and eventually something, whatever you desire will happen.
Yeah, very nice takeaway.
For me, it was about how some things it's like you just have to work with whatever happens, and that some things may not even go right, but you just have to work with it, and kind of based off what Jose said, that it in the end you get what you desire to do.
Yeah, so that kind of plays off with our resilience and patience theme. Very good.
All your struggles and hardships will always get you closer to Allah, no matter what it is.
Mhm. So being closer to God and having faith in Him, definitely. How about Hasna? What about you? What do you think? What did you take away from this session? Can you hear me, Hasna?
Can you hear me?
Yes, there you go.
I learned that patience is a really big key to get through a lot of different hardships, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And especially through Uncle Talib's life, there's a lot that was mentioned about how he was able to get through many different things.
Of course, that's one of the really important part. I like how you related it back to his story. I'm going to pick on a few more people. How about Shifa? Oh, I think she got kicked out of the meeting. Okay, it's okay. I'll call on someone else. How about Aziza?
I learned a lot. One second, sorry, there's echo. Okay, so I learned about like how everyone said about patience, and I also learned that like you should how he said that Uncle Khalid said about like reading some different surahs, like the surah, I think he said Surah Hashr, about how there's the couple of names of Allah in it, and I definitely want to check those out and read about them. And also like it's just like patience. Patience is a really big key big trait to have. So to always just be patient with everything.
I like that. Very nice. Is there anyone else who wants to share what they learned today? Anyone? No? How about Mariam? Mariam Khan.
I learned that it's important to like have faith in Allah during the really difficult times of your life.
I agree. All right, we have, I think I have one more question. No, I think we covered everything. Perfect. All right, I think Reneen has a really quick announcement.
Yeah, I just wanted to end off, sorry, can you guys hear me?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, just want to end off today just by thanking everyone for coming and by giving a shout out to Uncle Talib for, actually tomorrow is his 80th birthday. So if everyone could leave like happy birthday messages or if I, you know, it's just very cool that his birthday is actually one day after the session. So happy birthday, Uncle Talib. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you everyone. Thank you so much for joining today. And inshallah, our next session will be again on first Friday of next month. So we'll see you then, inshallah. Thank you for coming.
Allah Hafiz.
I would like to say happy birthday, Uncle, from Olive, from all your friends, from Olive.
Thank you.
This is Zainab. We miss you.
Yes,
Take care, everyone.
I miss the group.
Assalamualaikum,
Yes.
everyone.